So what's been happening at Hillsbury while I've not been paying attention? Well, quite a lot apparently. 9 players out, 9 players in, which surprised me a bit. I mean, this time last season, lads are back for pre-season, going off and playing some games, and we've hardly got anybody in door. You know, it's youth team are playing more or less. So let's have a quick look at 1 or 2 incomings and outgoings. I need a list. There's that many. So obviously Malmo's gone back to Portmancy and Ugbo's gone back to Troyes. Their loan spells have ended. Although there was hints the other day that the Ugbo deal ain't completely dead. Danny was a bit non-committal on that, but he got that glint in his eye. Caden Brennan's gone to Newport. These are all free transfers. Obviously, like Lee Gregory gone to Mansfield. That one was sorted out very early, really back end of the season. No surprise there. Somebody with his goal scored in now, so pick a club up quickly. Backington off to Wickham on a free. Never really worked out for him here, did it? He nice passer at ball, but a bit of an easy Aussie player in where he got around pitch, so I don't think he was ever going to fit into Danny's style of football. Delgado's gone. CD Everton on a free. I think Delgado, I would have liked to have seen what he'd done under Danny. Under Cisco, obviously nobody played brilliantly under Cisco, but he was a busy bastard. He was a busy bastard, and he did like to get stuck in and close people down, and he got that little bit of needle to his game. So I would have liked to have seen what he'd done. Obviously picked up an injury which kept him out the rest of the season, so he's off. George Byers gone. Now I think we knew George Byers were going. Obviously he went to Blackpool on loan at the back end of last season, and I love George. I'll always have time for him. Lovely user at ball, and in that promotion season, and I've said this a lot of times, I still think we go up automatic if Byers and Windass didn't get injured at that critical stage in last month of the season. I think we'd have gone up automatic. I think he was a vital component to how we played with that 3 midfield in there that season. So George goes with best wishes. I know he had his injury problems, and maybe that's part of it thinking. I think a lot of it is probably the pace over 10 yards that Danny's looking at in the way that he wants to play. But he's not going to Blackpool, he's going to Port Vale, where obviously he rejoins Darren Moore. So that might be a good fit for him there. Rees James gone to Rotherham. Again, not a surprise. He couldn't get a look in last season. I like him. I think he's a lovely footballer. I think he's a great crosser at ball. And obviously scored that brilliant goal in playoffs. But he clearly weren't going to get a look in, so I can understand that. And of course it's local. Probably the 2 big ones on the list though really is Cam Dawson going to Rotherham as well to join Rees James there. And Will Vaulks going to Oxford. Obviously, I think Dawson's one of the big talking points, being here since he was a kid. Sheffield lad, Wednesday fan. I think it's 129 games for Wednesday, 47 clean sheets actually, which not too bad a record. Probably, and I mean this, the best goalkeeper in a penalty shootout that I've ever seen. A tremendous record for saving penalties. But you know, he's pushing towards 30 now, and from his point of view, every time a new manager comes in, a new keeper comes in. You're number 2, and then you have to try and fight your way back in, and sometimes you get in, sometimes you don't. But I think it become clear that he's not going to be a permanent number 1 here. And so from his point of view, like I said, he's getting to that age where you want to be playing games. You want to be playing games, regular football. Move to Rotherham. I think it's a great move for him actually. I think he can go down there and be number 1. And great thing is, and I'm thinking about this as an husband and a father, he's not going to move house, has he? And I think that's a big thing as well. So it goes with my well wishes. I will always feel slightly sorry for Cam and Joe Wildsmith that they came through at a time when Westwood was still about but not playing. And I think they got sort of caught up in the politics of that. And by the way, Kieran Westwood, I think, best championship goalkeeper, best player, goalkeeper out of that Premier League for probably his first 2 seasons here. His last 2 seasons, he was making mistakes as well and getting injured a lot. And I don't think he was the keeper that he was when we first signed him. But I think we sort of forgot about that fact. And I think that for them two lads coming through, difficult anyway, but when you're permanently being held up to the sort of standard that somebody else was 3 years ago, it's something that you're never going to achieve, because you're trying to play up to and play against people's memories, and people's memories obviously get better and better with age, you know. So I think they were always in that shadow of what West would have been like those years previously. And like I said, it obviously got political as well in there. The Hawkeye came in and made him number one. And for the thing is, and I find this really sad, for all the penalty saves he made and the 47 clean sheets he's had as a goalkeeper for Wednesday, the thing that always sticks in my mind is a game at Hillsborough in front of the Cop. He saved a penalty, and on Wednesday conceded a late goal, and it was a late goal because of really shit defending. We get the ball away sloppy, then the defending's absolutely terrible, and a large section of the Cop start chanting Kieran Westwood's name. And I just thought, what must that be like? You're playing for your boyhood club. Every one of us has dreamt about playing for that club. Playing for your boyhood club in front of the Cop. There shouldn't be any better feeling. You saved a penalty, and the fans are chanting somebody else's name. Now they're not having a personal dig at you, but genuinely think about it. How is a lad going to take that? And that is, sadly, that's one of the things that's always stuck in my mind. It really has. But then again, I've been there when people booed John Sheridan and he's the best footballer I've ever seen, so there's always one or two cretins. Right, moving on. Will Vaulks. I like Vaulks. I like his attitude on pitch, and I can understand, obviously he's over 30 now. I think Wednesday Danny's looking to get the average age down a little bit. I think Will Vaulks played a massive part in us staying up last season. It was his reintroduction to the team into midfield which gave us that different dynamic going into that last third of the season. And him playing there in front of back four allows Bannon to get forward and play his football. And I really don't think it can be overemphasised what a key component he was in getting us through that back end of the season and the great escape. Wins it and gives it, and it's the most obvious thing in football in midfield. I can remember playing for the school team and saying, what do you want me to do? And he just said, you're in middle, just win it and give it. And it's the simplest instruction. It's probably one of the best instructions you can have, and that's what he did. Win, give and be available. And he played a massive part, huge thanks to him. I think he probably would have liked to have stayed around, but again Wednesday offering shorter contracts to players when they're around the 30 and over mark, which is understandable because as a club we've been bitten on arse by previously giving long contracts to people over 30, and you all know yourself as you get out of bed in the morning when you're over 30 and your knees creak, your back creaks, everything creaks, So when you're a professional sportsman as well, Wednesday's got stung with that a time or two. Alman Abdi, what were he on, a 4-year deal? Was it work four appearances or whatever it was, 6? So understandable from club, but also understandable from player. He wants to go somewhere where he's probably going to be first choice, and that security of a longer deal, obviously got to look after yourself and your family. So understandable there. He's gone to Oxford. I think goes with everybody's best wishes. And now the incomings. A few of these I've never heard of. I can't tell a lie. And a few of them have, and I'm like, we've done well to get in. May as well start from back. Ben Hamer, experienced goalkeeper. Obviously with Dawson going out, you've got to get somebody else in permanent as well. You don't just be relying on loans all the time and whatever. So Ben Hamer comes in, experienced pair of hands. I think he'll be good in and around the squad as well. I didn't think that he would be coming in to be a number one, and obviously a couple of weeks later we've managed to get James Beadle back on loan, a season-long loan, which is fantastic news for us. Brilliant young goalkeeper, did really well for his last season. Again, made some fantastic saves on that running during the Great Escape. he's a bright future. And I said last season, I'm convinced he'll play for England one day, this kid. He's going to make mistakes. You know, he's a young lad. He's going to make mistakes, but I genuinely do think he'll end up getting honours in that sense. So fantastic to get him on board and back for a full year. And I think that the fact he was here on loan last year, and let's be honest, he's a young sort of reserve Premier League goalkeeper. Could probably take his pick of loan spells anyway, but the fact he wanted to come here, I think that also says good things about where we are. Big Dom's back. There's a couple of these are re-signings. There's talk about Bernard. It's ongoing, and apparently there's been a bit of a mystery. He's done an Instagram post or something with his suitcases, and everyone's right, that's it, he's off, he could be jetting off somewhere. But equally, maybe he's coming in and going to sign a longer contract. I mean, by the time this video's out, he's probably tipped up somewhere else. But the fact he's posted some suitcases don't mean out, does he? Might mean he's off on his jollies. Maybe he's having a breather. It might mean he's moving to Sheffield. I mean, I don't know. Did he live here before? Or was he still living in Manchester? Maybe. No, I like Sheffield. I'm going to move there. Who knows? But also been linked with the Michael Narde, who's a big 6'3" centre half who's played over 100 games for St Etienne. Apparently West Brom are leading the race for him. But it looks like we might be looking at him in case Bernard don't come off. Right back, Jan Valeri. Is it Valeri or Valerie? No, we'll go with Valeri. You know, he's come from Angers in France. Now, interestingly, he did play for Southampton 2019 sort of season. So obviously it was coached by Danny Roll. Danny will know all about him, which is, you know, that's half a job, innit? You can sign players based on stats and everything else, but what if they're a knobhead? I'm not kidding. What if it's a knobhead? Obviously, Danny's worked with him before, so he knows he's not a knobhead, so that's a bonus. I'm not kidding. That sort of stuff's important to me. So he comes in, so that's a new right back. Equally, also brought in a new left back, so looks like the full back positions are something he really wants to focus on. Now, this Jan Valeri, 6 foot, was quite big for a right back. Maybe that's just me. Full backs used to be tiny, but quite big, athletic full back. On the other side, Max Lowe. Now, obviously, played in Premier League, 70 odd games in Premier League, 70 odd games in Championship, 27-year-old, moving across the city from the dark side. I've talked to a couple of United fans actually about him, and I've had a very similar theme in all the reviews I've had. 1, terrific athlete. 2, super fit. None of them's actually mentioned much about what he's doing on ball yet, but it's all. And the third one, great athlete. So that 3 of us have all said what a great athlete is. Unfortunately, all 3 of them also added to that when he's fit. He's a great athlete when he's fit. That's a little bit of a concern for me at this stage, but hopefully, like I said, Danny knows what he's doing. I'm sure he's passed a stringent medical, because we've always got them spots on at Hillsborough over years. And he did, of course, get a promotion of a season when he were on loan at Forest, so he's got a track record of getting out of this division with team. So hopefully he'll bring us a little bit of dynamism in at left back. And obviously with Rees James going and Marv another year older, that was an area at pitch that we did need to look at. Now, we have actually apparently paid a fee for a player, which is Olaf Kabacki. I'm probably going to do that 3 ways over the course of the season, because I know what I'm like. It'll be Olaf Kabacki, it'll be Olaf Kabacki, and at some stage I'm sure I'll call him Olaf Kabaski, because that's, you know, what I'm like, a bit of a special. Left winger, 5'10". Danny said something about him that really sort of caught my eye, because very professional Danny, and obviously he's data driven and stats driven, and obviously this kid must have got the numbers, came up through the ranks at Atalanta. Young Polish winger, had under 21 honours and everything. But like I said, Danny's very much stats driven, data driven. But the thing that caught my eye when he was talking about Olaf is he said he's a player that we're going to have a lot of fun with, which was like the most un-Danny thing I think I've heard come out of his gob so far. So I thought, I'm really looking forward to seeing this kid, because for the manager who's stats driven like that to be talking about we're going to be watching players and having fun, it makes me think he might have a few tricks in his locker and one thing of it. And at the end of the day, when you're watching a football match, it is nice to. I know results are everything, but it is nice to have a little bit of entertainment now and again. So if we're bringing in a winger who's going to sort of get bums off seats, great stuff. So looking forward to seeing him. They reckon we might have paid about 500 grand for him, 400 grand for him in that sort of region, which, considering where we've been financially over the last few years, it actually ain't too bad for Wednesday. Also signed a Swede. I'm going to get this wrong. Is it Svante or Svante? I'll go with Svante. Svante Ingelsson, attacking midfield player. Although I've been looking back to his career stats, I am a bit of a saddle. There's only really centre half and left back that he's never had a go at in his career. He's played all of it, short, right back, right wing, up front, left wing. But his predominant position apparently is a sort of attacking midfield player. I'm going to resist using numbers as they do these days, but an attacking midfield player. Big for an attacking midfield player as well, 6'2". I usually think about attacking midfield players, little diminutive sort of players. I don't know why that is. Probably just in my mind, Maradona, Beardsley, Scholes, Foden. Then jinking little players, Janino. I've always got them as little in my head, but 6'2", that's quite a big unit. Might be useful in air as well. Obviously, if he's getting in there from an attacking midfield position, joining strikers, and if we're getting crosses into the box, 6'2", not to be sniffed at. So, it'd be interesting to see what he can do. How old's he? 26-year-old. A 26-year-old with a left peg. He's coming from Hansa Rostock. Another signing from Premier League, Jamal Lowe. 29-year-old. Interesting one. This is another one. He can play anywhere across front. That last season, was it Swansea away? I think it was away game. Iggy Valentin, an absolute torrid time. Absolutely torrid time. It's not Vetchfield anymore, is it? Well, whatever they call it, Swansea. A really lively player. What I've liked about him, because I've watched him over years playing for other teams, he travels with ball. I know. I think he's probably coming in mainly to play as a centre forward for us, and I'm excited with that because it gives us pace to get him behind, because he has got pace. But what I do like about him as well, he's really good on counter. He will travel up pitch with ball, and he will drag your team up pitch with ball and allow you to get your midfield up and your defence up pitch. So I think that's I'm really excited with that. I think that's a terrific signing for us. I really do. I'm excited to see how he's going to fit in. Another one coming, although I suspect this one for future. Charlie McNeil has come on a free from Man United. He started as a academy graduate at Man City. He has played some league football. I think he got 2 in 20 for Newport County. And I think what other team? On a League One last season, 1 in 3 for Stevenage, where he was struggling to get a game. I'm not saying that's a concern because he's only a young lad, but 3 goals in 23 league games so far in his career. But it'll be interesting. Like I said, I think that's probably more one for the future, and I suspect somebody like him coming in. Good potential. He's got fantastic goal scoring record for Man United's youth team. Suspect he's going to come in and probably play in a rotation with Kadamatri. I think we'll see that with those two in and out of team and squad. And the most recent signing, Nathaniel Chabalar. Now, I thought I'd misread it because he's a player who I didn't think we'd be able to get. I saw his link with him. I thought, I don't think we'll get him. But one of them players, if you remember, who came through ranks at Chelsea, when they had about 4 billion youth players on books, and Chabalar was one of them who, when Chelsea used to send 100 players out on loan every season, he were in the ranks of them. I think since he's been at Chelsea, I think he's had 7 loan spells away at different clubs. He's played for Borough. I think he went to Watford on loan before he went there permanently. I think he was at Forest for a while, if I remember rightly. Loads of loan spells. Before eventually making that move to Watford permanently. I think it was about £6 million, and then free transfer to Fulham, which I found that a little bit odd. And then most recently, West Bromwich Albion, who obviously were in our division last season and top end and looking at trying to get in promotion places. Now apparently, Ugbo has been on blower to him when he heard Wednesday were interested and has been like selling club to him. So agent Ugbo's been at work. But recently seen that interview with him, a lot of praise for Danny Rule, and it seems that as soon as he spoke to him, he was like, yeah, I don't want to come here. Which is good news, and I think that's the other thing about having a positive, attack-minded manager is it's easier to attract players. I mean, it sounds obvious, but if you've got a manager who's just steeped in defensive hard work and shuffling about all the time, there are players that will be put off. I mean, famously, back in the 80s, Wednesday linked with Gary Lineker when he was at Leicester. Now, in the end, finances came into it, and Wednesday board wouldn't push that little bit further, much to Howard Wilkinson's upset. But equally, Gary Lineker had heard about the gruelling training sessions that were put on at Hillsborough and all the famous tales of just running through Grenoside woods and over moors and this and that other, rather than little jolly five-a-sides and stuff. So that just shows you where a manager's reputation and their style of play can make a swing in players and whether they want to come or not. And I don't doubt there's one or two players who would take a little bit less money to go to a club where it's not as I can't play for him, So he's coming, I've got his clubs: Watford, Forest, Borough, Burnley, Reading. Well, he's actually had 5 appearances in Serie A for Napoli. And he did get an England cap, albeit for about 2 minutes against Spain. So I think that's a really quality signing for us. Obviously a holding midfield player, bring a bit of physicality in it, can do a job at centre-half if needed as well. I think that's a terrific signing for us. I really do. The other news is obviously Barry Bannon signed up for another year, no surprises at all there. And Josh Windass back involved again. I mean, it did look like there was some doubts there for the time, and I suspect that would over length of contract. Obviously, like I said, Wednesday not offering huge deals to older end players now because of injury issues or one thing. And to be fair, Windass has had a fair few injury issues since he's been here, but we all know that when he's fully fit, he's a real asset to us. So good to see that we've got him back over the line. And I'm looking at that now, and I'm trying to make head and a tail of what a starting 11 could look like. I mean, look at that. It's almost a new look team, isn't it? Beadle in goal, Velody at right back, Lowe at left back. Obviously, we've got Iofor and Mayo, still got a Hekwe on the books. And like I said, there is talk that Bernard may be staying as well. Midfield, Chalabar sat at the base of that midfield, allowing Bannon and Ingleson to get forward and attack. Low at centre forward, although as we know he can play on either flank himself. Equally so can Windass. And we've got the young lad Kabachi as well, who I'm really interested to see what he can bring. So, and obviously predominantly a left-sided player, but he can play on right. Is Danny going to play with inside-out wingers? I mean, we might even be playing 3 at back yet, but this is just an example for us to have a look at who we've got in. Quite interesting that, innit? That's a possible team that we could put out, so it'll be interesting to see which way Danny goes. What? What do you mean wrong kit? Eh? Oh, I like that. I like that. Carboni style. We should always play in orange or yellow away, shouldn't we? Oh, I like that. Yeah, I'll get one of them. And Ohm. Where's Ohm? Socks are a bit fussy, aren't they? Yeah, sound shorts. It's a bit Colin West, isn't it? What do you mean back? Fucking dinner ladies tabard again. Fuck me. I'm not going to bother with that one. It's not my street at all. Actually, it's growing on me a bit. Might get one.